Hi, guys. Hello, hello. It's Veronica. Happy Sunday. Welcome to Vettles Bloom. Today, we're going to have a conversation with my beautiful friend, Teresa Lugo. And I'm going to wait for her to come on so I can invite her to the live. We're going to have a conversation today and just keep it casual. So please join in. We're going to talk about boundaries and forgiveness and self-love and whatever might come up. So please join the conversation and yeah, just let us know how you're doing today, how you're feeling, and what's going on in your world. However you might resonate with whatever we're talking about, please let us know, because as you know, we are all connected, and yeah, we just want to get this conversation flowing. So here she is. Let me bring her on. I'm going to add her to the call. Send invite. Yay, we did it. So I know I do this from my phone, but not from my laptop. So here we go. Oh, she's jumping on.
Hi, we got it finally.
Hi, Teresa.
How are you, my love?
I'm good. I'm really good. How are you?
It's thundering in Puerto Rico.
Ugh,
It's been nonstop thundering all day long. So
wow.
I'm glad that I'm able to get on because I didn't think I could after this craziness that's going on. But it's like tropical storm.
I'm glad. I'm
Yeah.
glad to connect and we get to talk a little bit on this beautiful Sunday. Um,
Mm.
let's do just a quick deep breath, because I just want us both to really come from our higher selves and get out of our headspace. As we all know, we've got lots of racing thoughts and lots of narratives that show up. So let's just do a little deep breath. We'll go 3 times. Just breathe in, and I'll invite the viewers to do the same, just to really land here in this time and space and invite our higher selves, who are always leading us and guiding us to our greatest, highest good. May this conversation be of the greatest and highest good and of the highest frequency of light. May it serve whoever is meant to hear this transmission. May it serve them in their highest benefit. Let's do 3 deep breaths in, down to our pelvis, all the way up through our crown. Exhale. Deep breath in. You might notice a shift in your body. I just did, and all the way up through your crown. Deep breath in. And I lit up an incense for us. I see my beautiful mother-in-law's watching, and she's in Greece.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, so we're touching people all over the world, and we're with just connecting. And we talked a little bit before we got on live about not really me actually not really wanting to show up in my highest light, because I was feeling like I was living it in my real life, in my everyday life. And you reminded me how important it is to show up even when it's uncomfortable, through the discomfort. And how, see, I get emotional just saying that. um, just how important it is to not show up when everything's only perfect, to show up despite everything that might be happening, and that we are worthy, right? We're worthy of this conversation and of connecting with others, even if we don't feel like we're being masters in our lives. But just existing means we're worthy. It means we have something to say. It means we have a gift to give. So thank you.
Yes, yes, I agree. I think that everyone that's a master out here in the world or a leader in the world have and continue to be broken in order to be the leader. I mean, people think that doctors are amazing and they can cure everything, but they can't. They're constantly working towards being a part of the evolution, the change, just like us. So, just like your psychiatrists, their lives in real life is upside down. That's why they are probably good psychiatrists, other than the fact that they have a degree. But whenever we're called to higher ground in our lives, there's going to be turmoil. And just like gold and diamonds have to be pressured in fire and flame, even a diamond, when it's found, is dirty, it's yucky, you know, until that fire comes and shines it up and it's an unbelievable diamond. I think that we have to be okay with that. We are broken. We are broken. And because we're broken and have been broken, we're able to be a leader and share our stories so that others can say, wow, she understands me or she gets me. And that's exactly where I'm at. I thought that I was crazy. But here we are. We stand on the shoulders of many. They're broken, and it's okay. That's okay.
Thank you. So
Yeah,
true.
it's okay.
So just last night I had an amazing day. My cousin came over with her son and we were swimming in the pool and we had great conversations and then she left and I kept swimming and I had such a nice night swim and I got out of the pool. I was laying down with my daughter. We were just watching a show and I got up to get something from the kitchen and I stubbed my toe on my island chair. And she said to me, Mom, move the chair. And just in my haste, I didn't even listen. I don't even remember her telling me until after. I went back later and I stubbed my toe again for not moving the chair. I woke up and my toe is black and blue and swollen. And I was like, just that feeling of like, how do things go from beautiful to what the heck?
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
so that was like something that I was dealing with this morning is like, just all in my head about, well, great, how am I going to teach my classes? How am I going to work out? Now I'm going to be frustrated with this toe. How long is it going to last? And so just want to talk with you a little bit about how things can quickly take a turn or how something that we did to ourselves or something that was done to us, right? Because it can easily happen with, someone outside of us changing the way we're feeling about ourselves and
Yeah.
how we show up anyway. How do you keep going anyway? Do you ever
Yeah.
think about that?
Yeah. Yeah. So, first thing I told you to do was to look at what Louise Hayes says about your left toe,
No,
pinky.
my right pinky toe.
And what did she say?
The the worry of future emotions. And so it was just a little clip and it said, if you hurt your right pinky toe, it's the uh, the universe telling you to slow down and stay in the moment, that it's your worry around future emotions. And that landed so like
Mm-hmm.
right on, like pierced my heart. Like it was like right on because of other things that I'm dealing with in my life that maybe really was like a reminder to, because last night I thought, well, God, appreciate your other toe, appreciate your other foot, appreciate your good foot, be grateful for your hands, be grateful for your legs. And I did like a whole body like gratitude kind of like a mantra. And so that kind of gave me some new insight too about how much I take for granted just that
Yeah.
swim that yesterday and that I could work out, that I could walk freely, that I could put on heels.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. I take nothing for granted. That's good that you are seeing that. I think that we do a lot of that. But we also know that, you know, physical ailments have some emotional attachment. And when we go through these moments and we tap into um, Louise Hayes, You Can Heal Your Life. She has a book actually out, and now she's deceased. But she's the first one that started talking about this. And then she wrote a book that, if you look up the ailment, diabetes, she'll tell you exactly what it is for you. Why do you have it? And there are mantras there, affirmations there that you could say daily to help you to connect to that, because every disease has an emotional attachment. And in your case, you hurt your toe. You know, like sometimes I'll get a very bad pain in my back. I'll look at it and like, oh, yeah, I am dealing with that right now. Okay, release, release, release. And I breathe in. And then I go get a massage or I do something else, like release that. Like we have to release things that we know we have no control over, you know? And sometimes I even talk to my younger self. I'm like, girl, I remember in my 20s, I didn't care about nothing. I stub a toe. I'm like, okay, wrap it up, put some ice, call it a day. Hopefully I had to work tomorrow, you know. And I don't, and I look at it now at this age and I'm like, why do I always take those things so serious? The things
Mm.
in my 20s, I didn't care. I mean, those things happen all the time. You had a car accident, you missed the bus, you got to work late, you're like, oh, well, I did. Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah.
And now it's like, whoa.
You said two powerful things that I want to touch on. One is release. And so I want to give the viewers, because I see Nadine is watching, I want to give the viewers a tip or a tool that we can empower ourselves to release what no longer serves us. When I was younger, I think this just came natural, like you just said. In your 20s, you had like just this like happy-go-lucky, go about life, do life, let's go, let's move, keep it moving. And I have 20-year-olds at home that live that way. If something's said, they just let it go. If something happens, they just move on. So the two things, one is, what is it about our older selves that we take things so much more seriously and hold? And then the other one is releasing it. Once we realize that that's what's happening, we could easily just to close our eyes, turn inward, and ask, who or what is holding on to this, and without even needing to know, just the inquiry and the intention itself to release and just give it to the earth, right? Just like keep repeating the mantra, release, and letting it go, what no longer serves us, what held, maybe somebody hooked into us or corded something in us that we no longer want, maybe just not even knowing what it is, but releasing it and just letting it go. Because as you said, in our 20s, we didn't have to go through that. We were just like, oh, okay, keep it moving. But maybe it's been built up because we didn't know that tool, that we could let it go.
Yeah. Yeah. And also to check in, like right now when you said check in, I checked in. And when I checked in, I see and it's very vague, but I see two people. I see, it's almost like God with a child. It's really interesting. So when I checked in and I saw that. To me, that means it's okay to be sensitive too. It's okay. It's okay to tap into that. And what you'll find many times is that you've been running too fast. You understand? So people get in the car, they go to work, they come back, and they go to grocery stores. They're so robotic that they haven't had time to really check in, especially if you're dealing with trauma, if you're dealing with real trauma. Let's say a wife finds out that her husband's playing her dirty. That's trauma. That's her. Now she's alone. Yes, I'm going to get a divorce, whatever the story is, but that's trauma. And those traumatic situations call and require that we care for ourselves a lot deeper. You know, it could be going to the gym. We talked about that last week. Remember, we were talking about the importance of working out and going to work out. Why? To look good? Yeah, sure. That sounds good. I mean, why not? I like to look good. But even myself, I work out 5 days a week. But I do it because in that morning, I'm releasing everything. I'm releasing everything that I may have had in my body in the last week or the last month, the last year, even sometimes 30 years, that little thing's been in there. So it's important that we really see that when we are in reaction, then we really need to tap into what it is that we're not taking care of within ourselves, right? Like, what is it that I'm not taking care of? Because when trauma happens, a lot of us just say, oh, I can find me someone else. He ain't, hey, that's his loss. You know how we are. We become this superwoman, human being, hear me roar. However, the real us is hurt. The real us is traumatized. The real us has been manipulated. So there are things that we really need to look at when we go through these moments that need our attention. That little girl that's crying inside needs that attention. And whatever that is, be it through breathing, like you started this session right now, I really appreciate that because, like I said, when I started to breathe, and I closed my eyes, I saw the image of God with a child. I was trying to figure out why. And as you were speaking, I really got that. God wants us to care for that little person inside of us and be okay with that. And so, my coach, my mentor, always told me the goal in life is to be more observant and less reactive. And I was like, really? Because, Puerto Ricans go, we'd be like, yo, oh, no, wait a minute. No, you didn't say that, girl. What? I live in Puerto Rico. I'm amongst my people, and they are, wow, very reactive.
How
So
we continue to observe without absorbing and staying in self-love, like staying in forgiveness. How can we continue to do that? What are some tips or tools that you use to, be amongst, right? Be amongst those who are reacting, or you're just observing, because it's easy to stay, real zen and quiet minded when you're all alone, because all you have is you and your thoughts. But what about when you have all of these other personalities and all of these other people who are in react mode and are coming from their lower selves? And how do we just observe and stay observing every day? You know what I mean?
I think the best tool for that is your breath. When you feel triggered by someone else, it's because there's something inside of you that you haven't healed from. Somebody goes off on you, or somebody's short with you, or you're short with the cash register, the cashier, or the person in front of you. If you could just take a moment and go into your breath. And that says a lot, because some people don't understand the importance of your breath. It's the most important thing you have. With your breath, without your breath, you're dead. That's how important it is.
Yeah.
But I really think that if you could just take a minute and go into your breath and check in. Is it really that important for you to go off on this other person, or for you to be still holding on to something that happened, that just happened? That's how it happened. It just happened. And be able to tap to see why. Why is it that important to you? Why is it triggering in you? And then little by little, you start to realize things about yourself. And for me, I started doing what my coach was telling me to do. I realized that I was more of a child than I was my age. I was realizing that, wow, I'm 50 some years old, but I'm acting like I'm 12 years old. You know, like why? Why am I? So I had to look at that for myself. Like, what is it that I need to replace in my life? You know, I found myself with more time in my hands. And my dad used to always say, when you find yourself with too much time in your hands, that's the devil's playground. We talked about that last time.
Right.
And it's true. Your mind is honestly, it's probably one of the second most important thing in your body is your mind. But that mind also plays a lot of tricks on you. So it's important to maintain your mind. Be a guardsman at the gate of your mind. Be that guardsman, because you can't let just anything into that mind of yours. You know? So I would say the breath would be the first thing, and the most important thing is the breath.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I love that.
Yeah.
What are some tips that you what are some tips that you could offer in terms of like once you get once you get to where you want to be, like let's say, okay, that's them, that's not me, you know, the cashier had a bad day, so let me just let that go. And, you know, offering some type of like forgiveness to those who have wronged you, offering some type of like lovingly release those who may not be living in awareness, those who behave or act from their triggers, and you were the recipient. You know, how do you set those boundaries for it not to continue to happen, and forgive all parties involved and offer self-love without, I want to say without your ego, because what happens with me and what I notice is I start to become like almost like like self-righteous. Like I have like this expectation of how I expect to see how my head starts going. Like I have this expectation of how I expect to be treated, how I expect to be talked to, right?
That's the
And,
Puerto Rican.
right. And then it's like I don't like being humiliated. And I then my mind starts to tell me, you're gonna allow that? You're gonna, you're gonna. So how can we come from a continuous place of just observing and offering, setting boundaries and forgiveness and love, self-love especially, so that we're not coming from that place of that's you done did it. That's your
Yeah.
one last time. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. I think that the other one of the other things that I adopted in my toolbox, emotional, right? Toolbox, is to remember that the old adage about sticks and stones will break your bones, but names will never hurt me, that really works. You know, that works because you're owning other people's stuff. You are you are taking on other people's stuff. And so when you do that, you realize that you haven't really taken time out to love yourself and to nurture yourself. You don't have to. I did a podcast last week on family, and I said, and the question I think was the same question, I believe, and I said, what I've learned to do is just be quiet. Even if the person is saying something that's not true, it doesn't matter because the other person doesn't want to hear you. Really, at the end of the day, they don't care. They're in their own world and they believe everything they're saying. So you are going to waste your time and your breath but setting boundaries in those instances could be like, I heard you and I'm sorry you feel that way, and I need some time to process this. Can we revisit this conversation? And what happens is the other person softens up and says, wow, okay, all right. And maybe not. The other person's like, no, but you don't get it because I'm trying to tell you something and you're not saying something else. And it's like, yo, like I said, I heard you and I need you to respect my space right now and how I feel right now. I don't know how I feel right now. So I'm asking you to allow me to come back to this conversation safely, because right now it's getting escalated, or you know what I'm saying? It's like, but you can speak those things when you're in a safe place in your own body, in your own mind. And it takes work. It takes meditation. For some it's yoga, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But all of that comes from being, you know, from childhood trauma, you know, abusive parents yelling at you all the time, you know. And then you had children and you yelled at them too. Now they're yelling at their children, you know. So it's called violent communication.
Yeah.
Mr. Rosenberg wrote about it, and he taught this, which I think I talked to you a little bit about it. Marshall Rosenberg wrote some steps on nonviolent communication for us to learn how to communicate, because we weren't taught that way. I mean, especially being in a Puerto Rican family or a big family, there was a lot of yelling in that household. So it's hard for us to grow and then start to. I've taken a lot of classes in communication, a
Yeah.
lot. Spent a lot of money for me to understand communication, and I'm still not mastered it. And you know, you're in a relationship, your husband, and they trigger things in us, and we go off, and then we realize what happened. Like, I can't believe this happened. I'm sorry. You know, like, I'm sorry. I wish I had taken a moment and went into my breath, but I didn't. I went into my baby girl, 12-year-old, wah, 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 and lost control. So I think we're constantly learning how to communicate. We weren't taught that.
Yes.
But I have a 30-year-old son, and I'm glad that after my daughter, I was able to learn that. So I would remember talking to him, and he'd be like, nothing, Mom, nothing. I don't want to talk about it. And I'm like, Destin, talk to me. I'm listening. I promise you, I'm here to listen. I won't say a word, you know. And he would tell me he wasn't going to talk or whatever.
I can't hear you anymore. I I can't hear you. You went mute. We lost sound. Can you hear me? Because I can't hear you. Did you happen to press something, maybe? Because I can't hear you anymore. Uh-oh, I lost Teresa. Oh no! I had something I wanted to say, so I'll just say it and let's see if she comes back on. When she mentioned the thing about, let's see if she's here. When she mentioned the thing about, oh, here she is again. Hold on. I'll say it when she gets on. Sorry, I lost you.
I know.
Okay, you were saying something about your son, and then when you finish, I want to say something about arguing, because I had something that you mentioned that it was totally me.
Yeah, so he wouldn't want to talk about it, so I would say, Dustin, please talk to mommy. I'm trying to teach you how to be a better husband one day. You will be. So I would challenge him to talk to me. And I would present to him that I'm doing this so that he learns how to communicate to his wife in the future or his friends, you know. And because he would say, well, when I go to my dad's house, we don't barely talk, Mom. And I'm like, I got it. I get it. But I want you to understand the importance of communication. and you're in a safe place. And most people don't communicate because they don't feel you're listening.
Right.
And it's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
So for me, I noticed when you said about, like people just start yelling or they just start going, spewing out their emotions. I had a tendency of interrupting you if I felt what you were saying was a lie.
Sure.
So, like you said, they're not listening. They're not in receive mode when they're going off like that and just pretty much just desahogándose, like
Yeah.
letting it out. And so my combating was, okay, I'll listen only if I agree. The moment I disagree, then I'm going to interrupt you because that was a lie. That was like a big challenge for me to just allow that person that time and space to say what was true for them at the moment. That's their truth. That's them wanting to feel heard and them coming from their younger self. Because if they were coming from their higher selves, they would believe and know that that's not true for themselves, right? They wouldn't even be feeling the need to scream or feel so frustrated if they realize that this is their younger self coming from trauma.
Mhm.
So there's something that I heard also, which was, I'm sorry, give you, I love you, and thank you.
Yes.
That that whole full circle of, even if you have to write it down, if that person's not willing to hear it right then and there, I'm sorry for da 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 da.
Yeah.
For you for da 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 da. I love you, and what am I grateful? What do I appreciate of you? And thank you, thank you, thank you for this connection, thank you for this moment in time because it's valid for my growth.
Yes. Yes. Yes, because you have to be mindful of people who are manipulative in their conversation. You have people that maybe you want to bring up something. Hey, I just want to talk about what I see and how it's not working for me. And, I don't like it when you do this. And then all of a sudden they come back, yeah, but when you did this, remember last week when you did that? And then this week you're still doing it and da da da. And it's like, where's this going? Wait a minute. That's not how this conversation is supposed to go. And you can't change that. Really, you cannot change that. When a person is in that flight or fight mode, there's nothing you can do. And they have to find that for themselves. I have some people in my life like that. And I really don't even communicate at all, actually. I just sit there and be like, yeah, got it. Right.
What's a boundary that you've set for yourself just so that you can be in connection with these certain individuals that you love?
Drink lots of wine. Honestly, honestly, it's just being okay with them being who they are.
Mm,
Just
I
let
love
them,
I love that.
let them. You know, I find in the podcast this last week, we were talking about family, the importance of family unity, and the most challenging mirror in our lives, our family.
Yeah.
They mirror back to us. And boy, there's those triggers like firecrackers. So we have to remember that in order for our family to work, we have to step down. We can't step up. Even though you've studied as a life coach, you're a healer, you're doing all your work, you cannot be that person that raises up in a situation. It's the time for you to just let them be, let them go wherever they're going to go with it. Um,
Be humble.
be humble and be a part of the puzzle, right? Because the time will come when you will be heard, when that same subject will come back up. Or write a letter, you know. My father was a communicator, but my father wrote a lot of letters. He had 12 children. So he would, yeah, I got a few of his letters he wrote me when he was ready to come in at me. He would write me a letter. Um,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So, you know, I think it's finding different ways to communicate and be able to communicate to each other. Um, and quit communicating the way we communicated as a family then. You know, I was the youngest, so it's like, wah, wah, wah. My brother's younger, you know, next in line, wah, wah. Then the middle child is like, whatever, I'm going outside. And then the oldest is, if you're not listening to me, what did I tell you? You're not doing it. Blah, blah, blah. Hear me roar. And then the oldest of all of them is like, I told you, you know, I've been telling you, and everything. So everyone has a role in all of this, and you have to allow people to play their role without you trying to change them.
Yeah.
It's okay. That's how you feel. It's okay. I mean, like I said, I have a big family, and they still think that I don't know anything. And you know, I had two stores. I raised two children by myself. I'm a badass woman. I have belt marks all up and down my back, whippings. You understand? From life, from my parents, from whatever. So I don't need anybody to remind me how wonderful I am. I know I'm wonderful. I know that I've created an amazing life for myself. So you have to learn how to just tap into the person that you know you are, because your family will not be those people to say, wow, you're pretty amazing.
Right.
You know, I've been blessed that there have been a few that have said that to me, which I really appreciate, because I'm very humble when I'm speaking right now. Some people are like, oh, she's so full of herself. That's fine. That's fine. I'm not. Actually, I'm very humble, and I appreciate all that I have had and continue to have. But I have had to pull myself up and be the cheerleader that I've been looking for in order for me to be of service to others. I had to pull my bootstraps and say, enough. Be the woman that you say you are. Let's go. What do you have to do to get there? What do you have to do? What are you not doing? You know?
Yeah.
And be gentle. Be gentle with yourself, you know? I, I go get a massage, and a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people don't get massages or go sit in a hot tub or just relax and breathe and meditate for 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes. Go into your breath for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And the other thing I would say to you, to really wrap it up, is to say that don't be a part of the gossip. That's another thing I chose. Um, I've been here in Puerto Rico 8 years, and boy, do I see a lot of gossiping. In my, Zumba classes, and in my nonprofit, and feeding the poor, and everyone has something to say about things, and I just be quiet. I just am observant. But one of the things that I would say about that is, don't allow that for yourself. If somebody comes to you about somebody else, like, girl, I can't believe, look how she's being, or whatever. So yeah, she's pretty amazing. Turn that around. We don't have to be a part of that circle or that circus. We don't have to be a part of that anymore. And it's important that you do that, because the more you do that, the stronger you become.
Interesting.
And the less they'll come to you with that.
Right.
It takes two.
Yeah.
It takes two.
Don't commiserate with the complaining,
Yeah,
because it's still contributing to that person having a sounding board and
yeah,
saying, I get, I get it.
yeah,
It's so, and then, you're in family. So then you're labeled as, oh, they they don't like not being able to have you as someone who used to relate to them, and now you don't relate to them on that level. So you will be labeled, and you will be shunned, and you will be excluded, and you will be outcasted, and you will be all these things that you try to run from because they don't feel good. And as you said, with you empowering yourself, you're coming to meet others in a different frequency, and those who are meant to be there, like this right now, this conversation, those who are meant to listen and to feed from your knowledge. You got to That's the whole expansion of life. Like that's what we're supposed to be doing, is growing, not just sitting in the swamp, just feeding off of shit,
Yeah,
We're supposed to be, hey, come up here. It's,
yeah,
cleaner. The weather's nicer.
yeah,
Look, been hanging out here for a while. You'll really love it, and those that will come. Those that want to show up will show up, because we're not alone in this journey. So I want to leave on that note that it is the road less traveled, and you may not get the popularity contest prize, you may not be the winner of that one, but there are other prizes to be won. Just keep going on your journey, because there's so many others you to not shine your light and get out of the communicating pool.
yeah. And the Puerto Rican saying to that is, nadie sabe lo que hay en la olla, solamente que lo menea.
Right.
Somebody asked me about somebody this week, and I'm like, nadie sabe lo que hay en la olla. You know what I'm saying? Like, I refuse to comment on that, because my goal is just to be happy and stay on the positive and to stay on the up and up. I realize that people are going to always talk about you,
Yeah.
no matter what.
So your desire to connect with others, right? When someone calls you, you feel happy. When someone wants to come visit you, you feel delighted. So your desire to connect, when it's connecting about gossip, we like you gave the amazing tip, like we need to come back into our breath. We need to come back inward and know that we have everything we need, that there's nothing outside of us that's lacking. Give ourselves that self-love, give ourselves that connection to our higher selves. Let ourselves feel, like you said, a massage or painting, or go for a drive, sing a song, dance, take a bubble bath, eat
Yeah,
something that is going to make you feel good tomorrow, do a workout, do something for yourself, instead of searching for that connection outside that is no longer serving you with the gossip.
yeah.
Word, and give yourself that self-love. Come from self-love, so that's what we attract, those that love themselves too.
And definitely consider high nutrition diet.
Yeah.
If you're coming from low vibrations, check your diet. A lot of us are eating burgers and fries and fast foods, and you know what? There's so many preservatives and stuff that are in the food, and that's going into our body. So you have to be mindful also of your high nutrition diet. You know, it's important. That's something that we don't talk enough about, but we'll talk about that in the next time. But it's important that people understand that, because that's also part of checking yourself. When you're short-tempered or you're acting, you know, like you just don't have the patience of people and all that, check yourself. Check how your diet has been. How have you been eating lately? Um, I know a woman, and this is really interesting, because I think I talked to you about, let's talk about working out, the importance of it. And then you decided that what a conversation about creating boundaries and how important that is. But actually, this is interesting because it's going to go back to what I wanted anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But I see a woman at the track every morning about 6:30. That lady by herself every morning. She's about 50 something, 60 something, and she looks good, but she's working working her butt off. And I think to myself, wow, how many women probably look at her and be like, mira esta, quién se cree ella, mira esta. And I'm thinking, they don't know the work that it takes for her to be looking like that. So that's why I say, check yourself.
Yeah.
Check
Good to,
yourself.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. So that's another good tip. So we
Yeah.
get away with some tips.
Right.
Release, breathe, treat yourself kindly, and eat better. If you're noticing that you're off or you're short-tempered or you're feeling frustrated or crunchy, maybe it has something to do with what you're feeding your body, right? Your body's
Definitely.
a machine and the fuel you give it is the food. And if you're giving it cheap fuel, it's not going to give you premium optimum performance. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. And then one more thing is to stand for love. Stand for love in your relationships. Stand for love.
Beautiful.
If there's an old saying that says intention equals results. If your intention is to have a closer relationship with your daughter or your son or your family member and it's not there, is because that is not your intention. Because the results is showing you that your intentions and your results are not lining up, right? So that is also something to check on for yourself. What are your results in life? Do you have a relationship with your son, your daughter? Do you not have a relationship with the people they married? You
Yeah.
know, and why? Well, but I want a closer relationship. Well, no, you don't, because you don't have one. Oh, you just don't understand. I'm like, no, I do understand, right? You got to stand for love. You got to take a stand for love. And it's not easy all the time. Got it. But in your breath, just say, I want to stand in love right now. I just want to stand in love.
I love it. I love
Yeah,
it. Thank you. Because if not you, then who?
exactly.
We can't
Yes.
for everybody else to bring it. It's like they say, you can't look at a mirror, right? You can't look in the mirror and expect to smile if you're frowning.
Yes.
You got to bring the smile to see the smile.
Mm.
So you got to bring what you want to receive. If you want to look in the mirror and you want to see love, then you got to bring the love.
Yes.
Thank you.
Amen. Yes, I love you, girl.
Thank you. I love you too. This has been amazing, more than
Yeah.
before. So thank you so much. I'm leaving this conversation better than when I joined and started. So I really appreciate this a lot.
So do I.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Well,
Monica.
and to all the viewers, I hope that this gave you some, even if it was just a crumb, a little bit, a little tool to empower yourself to bring this into your family, into your life, into your everyday. And just remember that it's the journey, right? So keep it moving, let it go, self love, and vamos.
Peace.
Bye.
Peace.